All right. Whenever you're back, I'm good to go. Awesome. Awesome, Sergey. So, yeah, I'm just gonna run through a few questions, and anybody's welcome to, have a follow-up question. It's not exactly my strength to come up with those, so, you're always welcome to step in. But let's get to it. So, Sergey, in roughly 5 minutes, can you tell us about your trading journey that led you to Hybrid Minds and something that you'd appreciate about the group and something you'd improve? Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's perfect. Great answers. So next up, can you tell us about your trading process and what you think uh, is working in your process? Okay, cool. So what about so you're thinking like what's because I asked what's working. So do you feel what's working is that you tend to have a pretty good read on the kind of high a day, low a day type areas? Like that's something you're good at finding in your process? Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. Uh, about, to go to the next step here from your process, I'm curious about something like your setup. So would you be able to describe, one or maybe more, ideal setups that you would trade? One is great. Yeah, yeah. So you can, if you're able to, you can share your screen on Discord. That would be great. Sierra user. Perfect. That's a four tick Renko, right? Cool. Uh, so for someone that doesn't know what the delta flip percentage is, can you just like briefly explain what actually happens and like what those, green and red figures mean to you? Right, and there's a threshold on that, right? Because not every positive and negative is getting colored. It's only kind of above, well, like something like 20. What you have like a certain filter on it or whatever, right? Great, Nick. Nick? I saw you kind of unmute there. Is there any? Did you have a question for Sergey or anyone else? Sergey, so how did you kind of come across this setup? Like, like, why is it that you feel this works well with you? Like, your kind of personality is kind of intraday. You're trying to catch these, it looks like to some degree bigger swings, something like from a high to an overnight low that's perhaps like significantly lower. Like, like, why does that work for you? Yeah, yeah, like exactly. How did you fall into this style of trading and these type of trades? Why is it that it works for you? Buy low, sell high. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the one thing about the like a stat like that where you have a high probability stat below, of course, we know historically that certain things like that are likely to touch, but the thing about it is it can still tick up quite a bit before it does that at times, right? So that's definitely a reality with those with stats like that. Which you did get. You definitely, it did happen there, just not after the first entry. But so those, Does anybody else have any questions about, the setups or Sergey's process, anything like that? All right.
testing the middle of this auction, right, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's actually
Yes.
like, because you have that one right there. Was that the ninth? You had that one, and then like if you think about like current immediate auction, like the last the last freaking auction that ever was the closest to the current RTA session was the overnight and was the previous session. So like that overnight got tested once. Zoom out a little bit. So you got one right there all the way to the immediate right. Then you have another one that's a little left at 11:56, and then you had one at the beginning of the open, RTH of the 10th, and then you had the last overnight before the 10th RTH. So that's like the ninth overnight. So you had ninth overnight, 10th RTH, then you had the looks like the overnight of the 10th. So you technically had actually three tests of that auction level, because you have the bottom of the auction area, the middle of the auction area, and then the immediate 11th RTH. You tested it for a fourth time.
I see. Okay. So this is the first time. This is the
Second
second time.
time. Yeah.
This is the third time,
Third
and
time.
this is the fourth time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not much interest to lift above that from what's happened so far. Not
I
seeing
mean,
many
why?
signs of that.
Like, why would it though? Because it tested it four times, and it looks to me on that volume profile, most of the volume was done toward the bottom. So like if you think about it from auction market theory, what is the auction going to do? It's just basically going to find where the most volume can be done, because that's the whole mechanism of an auction, right? Is to put buyers and sellers together. So if four times they couldn't find buyers at the top, yeah, they could test it a fifth time, but the tendency is to move towards volume, and the volume happens to be at the bottom.
Yeah. One thing that comes to mind about this delta flip, and it's like any other, I mean, this is really goes for any other indicator or, a lot of the things we use, it's like this too. But something, because I've actually briefly experimented with it, I noticed that the results can, obviously really be different. Like if you go 1 minute or, Fortig Renko, or if you, depending on your color filters for the actual percentage itself, so, my question is, do you think you can keep it as it is through different market conditions and, average ranges, or do you think that's something that you're gonna work on with the numbers that you want to see?
Yeah. So strictly based off of like observation and like small bit of experience with the delta percentage shit. Under normal market conditions, I use this on a 4-tick Renko. It's pretty nice. Under more volatile market conditions, I have a duplicate chart up, and it's going to be what the fuck is it? Somewhere around here. Okay, I lost it, but it's going to be a 5-tick aligned Renko under more volatile conditions. Because under more volatile conditions, like this was pretty fucking volatile, like in the day before, right? Like look at this shit. You're seeing delta percentages everywhere back to back. This isn't really telling you much, and you could say, okay, well, don't pay attention to every bar like fucking Morse code. Just look at the lows, look at the highs, and only pay attention to the delta percentage there. But even then, it's just gonna like signal too much. So that's why I flip to a higher Renko chart on volatile days. If that answers your question. Um, Basically, I'm not sure like like which word to use, but like basically qualify or like make sure that I'm saying what I'm saying. Like basically what Jeremy just did to me. Like I couldn't really answer Aaron's question very well as to my entry location, and Jeremy basically just told me why I did, or like what I should have been looking for, right? Which like I always enjoy feedback from Jeremy, Um, and like yeah, he just like hit the nail on the head. Like I see exactly what he's seeing now, and so I guess what I'm trying to say is like basically make sure that like I'm like following a process and I'm not just gambling with statistics, I guess. Right? Like if you see me take like a really great fucking short one day and like my reason why is like 70% to overnight mid, and that's like the only reason why, like, call me out and say, well, do you have any other reasons why, or was it just the statistic, right? Because just the statistic isn't good enough. Something like that. Yeah, 100%. Basically, accountability. Yeah, I think it's what I'm working on for this year.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I was this is just a general ES question. So this is for everybody who trades the ES, because I'm thinking of trading it. But if you take if you take that 11th and it going down to find a place where buyers and sellers will agree upon price, and that's the day before, and that whole value area from the 10th, it just rips right through it, and then it comes down to the prior week's high, and then it retests that, and then it comes back up. Is that normal behavior? I thought that the ES was more like sticking around in big volume areas from earlier, or is that wrong, or why does it
You're
just
mentioning
rip
how
through?
it just rips through here.
You just rip through the value area from the 10th.
Yeah. Okay, so this move down is what you're pointing out.
So,
Okay.
so I was, if I was trading this, I would say, okay, the POC from the 10th, or the value, at least at the bottom of the value area from the 10th, it would stick around, but it's just, it does not do that.
Okay. I mean, from my experience, and Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I noticed that when things start to get volatile, ES will just fucking rip through everything, like anything and everything. Particularly high volume nodes in a volatile day, it'll just traverse the entire high volume fucking node until it finds like enough like low volume nodes to bounce off of.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
it
sure.
normally, well, if you think about it like mechanically, if it's a highly traded instrument, then you have most participants. So once you break through certain levels, everyone's gonna get out, and then everyone's gonna pile in also when you break through levels. Uh, it is a thickly traded. It is the most. It is a stock in the stock. It's the most traded future. That's true, but the way that it behaves is not. It's not like freaking treasury bonds, or like, you know. It's
Right.
I know what you're trying to say though, like, because you're coming from trading YM and Q stuff like that, and like you wouldn't expect to see that. You'd expect that behavior to be in NQ or RTY or YM and
Exactly.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, it the thing that you have to understand about ES is like when things go, it goes, but it also gives you second chances. So like places around like the edges of nodes, so like LVNs, if it don't like LVNs, high volume areas and stuff like that. Like if you just like it's not a definitive like, oh yeah, if it gets over there then of course it's gonna bounce off because it's high to trade. You like you have to look at it just give it a second, see what happens first, trade the reaction.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think you always need some kind of confirmation, right? You can't always just assume that's gonna happen. You have to wait to see first.
Yeah. The only way you can like fully just go off of no confirmation is you just take on a micro and you just want to like roll the dice. You could do that.
Mm. Well, you can also, if it's just well, I bought Apple stocks in '97 because I thought their computers looked pretty and they could stay in the living room, and I bought it for $3.93. So there's all kinds of reasons why people buy stuff.
Yeah, that's I think of all of our trading plans, that's the best plan ever. Like it looks pretty.
It paid up pretty good. I still have them.
No, you're a millionaire right now because of your trade
Yes, if
plan.
I sell them, yeah, I am. Yeah, sure.
God damn it! If I knew that. If I knew
Well, that was
Tesla.
lucky, man. I didn't know anything, but that was just, I don't know. Those are for my kids. I'll just save them for my kids, so they can do whatever
Yeah.
they want with them. But I was just, no, there was just an ES because I was trying to say, okay, if I want to trade a more liquid product, so I could more or less count on that it's gonna stay in the the big auction area from earlier. But I guess that's not the case, huh?
Yeah, everyone, and there's reasons, all types of reasons, like whether you're front side, back side. There's some people out there that are just hedging against stuff. So, I mean, I know some people that are buying futures because they're hedging against Tesla, or like you got some traders that like hedge fund traders that I know, like they buy futures contracts to hedge against their retirement portfolios. Like
Mm.
there's all kinds of different reasons why people get in.
Yeah, I know that. I guess that's why futures are there in the first place, to hedge, right?
Yeah.
And Michael, I would say that ES is not as boring as you might think it is. I guess is what
I
it
can see
really
that.
concludes.
Yeah, yeah,
Because ES really can move.
yeah.
And you can get like our average ranges over the last few months have been quite good. And maybe it's not like NASDAQ, but I think it's better actually because
Yeah.
I
it
agree.
takes more to move it. So it gives you more of a chance to get in.
Mm.
As opposed to what I see in RUT and NASDAQ is like when it starts to go, if you miss the beginning of it, you're never getting back in. You're just never
Goodbye.
going to find it.
Yeah, it rips pretty fast. But but
And
I'm
when
just surprised. Yeah, you're right.
even this example here where you see a flush through what would normally be a support area, that tells you a lot about what's going on in the marketplace. So even in itself, you can see that it flushed that, it hit his blue zone down there. What did it do after that? It pulled all the way back up to where it started,
Hmm.
and then went down and made it lower. So like, if this was going to continue, you missed that first flush, you got a shot at taking another short later on.
Yeah.
It didn't break lower and it didn't make a lower low, but if it was, here's the situation in NASDAQ, it would have flushed, it would have broke, and it would have gone 100 points lower, and you would have missed the whole thing, never got short.
Yeah.
This gives you a shot at getting short.
Yeah.
But so
I think
And
it's
dude, you don't so it doesn't really matter if it just let's just say that you're stocking shorts, and you can see its weakness at let's say at 1058, and on the 10th I'm just looking at a 9,000 tick chart right now. So it turns down, but the big volume area is right below. That doesn't bother you?
no, I mean if anything, it should encourage you,
Right.
because if you see high volume areas, then you know that likely where high volume areas is, either you'll get a flush or you'll get a reaction. So I mean, like if you think about it, like hypothetically speaking, and this is basically how I trade, is like I'm just looking for where all of these things are, and I'm gonna try and time it before it happens. I'll take the exposure risk, I'll take the information risk, and I'll just put the trade on to see if it does it. Because I mean, what's the worst gonna happen? Like you're gonna take the short on the break of the support, and if it doesn't, you get rejected, and it honestly will tell you that. Then you just take the trade off, and because
Right.
if it does, you know that you're gonna have a lot of eyes, you're gonna have a lot of volume, and you get flushed through on a short. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Is ES the only futures product you've traded, Sergey? Are there any other futures products you've tried?
Yeah, ES is the only futures product I've traded, and I'm like kind of trying to like stick with ES until like I become a CPP at it. Because it's, from what you guys are describing, it sounds like these different futures products trade very differently. So I don't want to like put in the mental power and effort to divert from from ES. I want to get like good at this one before I try something else. I've been thinking about, if I were to try something else, I've been thinking about CL. CL potentially. I've heard trades similarly somewhat to ES. I'm not sure how true that is though.
I've been trading CL a lot. It does not move like this. It rips. I mean, it could be very directional, but then again, I mean, I guess the ES can be very directional. I'm just, yeah. You can get, if you trend trade CL and you really just are patient, you can get some nice moves. But I don't know if it's the same. It does not. I mean, when I compare them, I don't think. I mean, also CL is kind of it price action wise. It will just go up, and then it will stay, and then it will like and wait, and then it will go again. It's not like fluent like the indices.
I want those sound effects in my trading software. Every time
I
price
know.
goes up, that's what it makes.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just that's my I mean experience with the CL. It's sometimes it just stays. I mean, it rips up and then it just stops for some reason, and then it just stays there, and then it goes back and forth, and then it rips up again. I mean, why? I mean, you that's something you have to get used to. That's just my experience with it anyway.
Yeah. I know we're coming up on time here. Does anybody else have any questions for Sergey on the spotlight?
If nobody else has any questions, like I just briefly wanted to like show like the second short that I took. Maybe it'll help someone, but I think this is a better short than my initial short because once we hit overnight mid and we started pulling back, I saw that well we have another stat to play, which is the RTH mid, which we haven't hit yet. And I took this short here and like a pretty kind of top tick the market, and I feel like this was a good short. Because we're testing this the middle of this micro auction area, as Jeremy would call it, and we're basically rejecting off of it. And the reason I went short is this is a pretty mature short before the delta flip happened, but technically I only went short because of the micro auction rejection period. And it was later confirmed that this was a good short because of 2 bars later you have your delta flip breaking out, and that's my confirmation to like stay in the short. I later got top ticked before we actually hit the RTH mid, but that's the reason to go short. The better short would be to wait for the delta flip, if that helps anyone.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah, you got a little unlucky on that last scale there where it came back up.
Oh my god, dude! I swear to God, dude, like I deserve the nickname of like fucking master of getting top tick. You have no idea. Like it's not even funny. Like if you go to
No,
any of
okay,
my
sorry
trades
about
on
that.
any of my days, I get top ticked at least once per day.
Mm.
It's ridiculous.
I just look at your footprint chart. I was just to let you know that there's delta footprint charts as well. I was just thinking that if you trade delta flips, you can also see it in the footprint chart. So you don't have the numbers. You just have the difference printed out.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I have it on my footprint chart, but I'm gonna run the delta flip idea on that Renko chart, like he was saying, because that'll give you a different read. And I'd like to actually see what that looks like versus what it looks like on that volume scope chart.
Yeah, I truly believe that if you're going to use delta flips, I think Renko chart is the best chart to use it, as opposed to like any other chart, especially as opposed to time-based chart. Yeah.
Yeah, I started building something in in Excel, just like looking at like I would take like 4 of the last prints and look at if at least like grouping them by points. So if at least 2 or 3 of them are green above a threshold or red, like kind of I'm trying to like put some combinations together to see kind of what I come up with like pinpointing delta flips in the data and then working with that, seeing if I can answer any questions that I might have about it, explore it further.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you know what I come up with, though. I'll post it, and if you find anything, if you run it through Excel and you find anything, feel free to share it because I'll post what I'm doing now. It's not done, but it's just an Excel sheet in progress.
Great.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Well, I think it's been a great spotlight. Sergey, thanks so much for coming on and sharing all that with us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, next week we'll be doing the same thing. There'll be a trader spotlight next week, so hope you guys can make it to that one as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, have a great
Good
weekend.
job, guys.
Yep. Take
Yeah.
care, guys.